Okay, we're coming at that point now where we're going to be building rockets ourselves. But first off, we're going to start with building our launcher. And I understand we have a team of people here that can help us in getting the parts distributed and so forth, some of our helpers here. This is the launcher, and the rocket is made out of paper. Just paper with a little bit of Scotch tape. Any colors that you want, fine, but it's made out of paper. The parts come from a hardware store. There's an elbow, a couple of T's, a couple of caps, and a piece of PVC, and here's where that 2-liter bottle comes in play. It's held on with duct tape. Just a little bit of duct tape right here. I'm going to set this on the floor here and do a launch for you. Now the legs are different lengths, and the reason for that, well, it has to do with just the shape of this thing. When you put it on the floor, it stands upright, and you can adjust the launch angle. I'm going to adjust the angle a bit like that. And you might want to move your head just Get ready, pay attention here. I'm going to try to keep it above you. In fact, it's a little high yet. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Nobody stand up over there. Okay. Make a bigger target. Get ready. Are we all set? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When the kids did it, that was like 60, 70 feet maybe. I don't know what the height distance here. You can go about 100 feet in the air with these. Oh, I broke my bottle. Oh, yes.
Why did you make it out of paper instead of any other material? Is paper the best material?
Paper is the cheapest material. You can, if you had Mylar plastic tubes and spent a lot of money, you can make a really cool rocket. Paper is great, and the thing is the kids can build and rebuild, and if it turns out they made their fins too big and the rocket is floppy and it doesn't fly very well, they can get out scissors and cut them right away. They can modify these as much as they want to. Now, I took 2 sheets of paper, by the way, and made this into a long rocket. You can take a single sheet. You can make it any size you want to. This particular one right here has just a little sets of fins at the bottom. It's just a short single piece of paper. You can make it any way you want to. Now, there are some tricks involved, and we'll be covering those tricks in a little bit. But first off, let's get our launchers ready to go. You need one long one. Okay. Coming out very soon, or you already have them, at our elbows. These are bent at 45 degrees. They're elbow connectors. There are 2 of those. You should have 2 T connectors. And you should have 2 caps that go on the end of a pipe. They're coming around if you haven't. So I'm going to go through those numbers here. Then there's going to be 2 pipes that are about this long right here, 2 of those. 2 pipes that are about this long, and 2 real short ones. So you get 1 long pipe, and everything else you'd have 2 of. So they're still distributing, so give it a few more moments, and then we're going to start building. Okay. At the moment, you don't need to put your 2-liter bottle on there because we have to give you the tape. We'll do that shortly. But you start with this long piece right here, and you need a short piece with an elbow, like that. Then you take another short piece, put a cap on it, and a T, and one of those little pieces, those little lengths of tube. Goes like this, right here. Okay, if you've done this far, I'll go through this again. Take another piece like that, a short one, a T, a long one, and a cap. And that goes on right here. The final piece, another elbow, and the launch tube like that. I'm going to walk around and show you by table. Thank you very much. This is an interesting view looking around the room here. We've certainly changed the appearance of the room with all these things. They all look pretty good. It's all a matter of just getting the right pieces in the right places. And you've got the right numbers, but just have to switch them around a little bit. Now the next job is to make the rocket. And I'm going to suggest something that you can do when you do this with your students, and that is to get a piece of PVC pipe and cut it into lengths a little bit longer than this, and let the kids use this as a form for making their rocket. If they make their rocket wrap around this pipe and fit nicely without being tight, overly tight, then it's going to fit the launcher. If they just try to roll paper on their own, it's really hard to do, and if they make it too small, the rocket's not going to get on the rod. So you use one of yours when we start making a rocket. Just take one piece off and use that as your form for building the rocket. We've got paper up here, and you're supposed to have tape and scissors at your tables. From a single sheet of paper, you can make a rocket. You get enough parts here to make a rocket. But if you want to, you can trade with people for different colors. You get a blue sheet, they get a pink sheet, mix it, fins out of one and a nose cone out of the other. But essentially what you do is that you can make a rocket the long way, or you can make it the short way. Either way works fine, but you don't need the whole piece of paper for the tube. About half of it. And the rest of the paper can be used to make the nose cone and the fins. So what I'm going to suggest right now is you start by making your rocket tube, and then when we get to the point of making the fins, I'll give you a few moments. I'll show you some tricks for making fins, and I'll show you the trick for making a nose cone. There's a really neat one available for that. So we got paper here. We're going to have to start passing this out. No fighting over colors, okay? So there we go. You pass out some. Everybody gets a single sheet of paper.
Roll the purple rock. Make the purple rock.
Are you going to use all the tape?
Well, we got a few more steps to do. One is how to make rocket fins. The other one's how to make a nose cone. Now, the rocket fins, I'm just going to make up some real quick ones here. You can cut them out individually if you want to, but you can save time by taking a piece of paper, folding it over like this, and folding it over again. And when you cut a bunch of fins. Now, the shape I'm going to make here, this is a simple trick that little kids like in particular. I'm going to cut it like this and like this. All right, just a moment. Not used to cutting upside down. And I'm going to make it look like a Christmas tree. When you open it up, you end up sort of like a Christmas tree or like an arrowhead shape. Then if we have a tube, remember your tube for just a moment, this blue one? I'm not going to tape it on here. Then if I just simply take some tape, I can tape it on here like this, up there, tape it down there, and then bend the fins outward. So that's one of many tricks for making fins. But the nose cone, though, is a little harder. And I'll show you another trick for that, which is not, by the way, in the guide because we didn't think of it until afterwards, after it got published. It's all it is, always the way it is with guides. After you've done it, you think, oh, I could have had a V8, that kind of thing. I'm going to make a circle, and a circle about the size of a CD is really a good size to work with. Okay, the scissors back. Now there's my circle. If I take the circle and fold it in half, like that, fold it in half again, and fold it in half a third time, you end up with a pie shape. Okay? then all you do is put some tape along here to hold it together, and you simply spread the interior, and you'll end up with a nose cone shape. Now that's going to be probably too big for your paper, so you may have to trim it a bit. And then you simply slide it over there, leave the tube inside the rocket that you made, because that gives you support when you tape the nose cone on. So that's your nose cone trick. It's a very simple thing with a circle. Okay, make your nose cone and make your fins, put it on your rocket. Then we're going to go outside for a rocket launch. What we'd like to do is to go outside with your launcher and your rocket, and at the count of 3, we're going to do a gang launch and see how many we can get to fly at one time, see how far they go. I think there's a little courtyard out that way. Okay, that's what we're going to do for the launch. So as soon as you're ready, bring your launcher and your rocket, and we're going to start the launch. Here we go. Get ready. I'll do a countdown from 10. Come on, get ready. All right. Maybe this is not going to work. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire! Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I want to hit the building over there. All right, real fast here. Let's do a quick wrap up on this. I mentioned about the label. The reason for leaving the label on the bottom is when you get kids jumping on these bottles, they tend to miss and they hit the ends and so forth. You say aim for the label. And that's perfect for stomping. That's why I like that. Something else, too, just as a convenience, if you want to, you can, when you put these parts away here, of course, you can mark them 1, 2, you know, where they're connected. But if you get glue, you can glue some of them together. Like that one's glued on. So I never have to worry about where it goes in the future. I just, you know, plug it on there. So you can glue some of them. Others you want to keep apart so that they can be moved around. So that's a little trick. I got my caps glued on too. So that makes it a little bit easier for storage. When you have the kids do this, it will be a whole lot more greater performance if you don't have wind. We were fighting with the wind. Still we got some going across the courtyard. If we did not have the wind, we would have lost a number of rockets on the other end on the building top. So these things really fly well if they're made well. And you will find kids, you know, when they make these things, they think, oh, that didn't go as well as they wanted to. They start nipping away at the fins and changing the shape and so forth. And pretty soon they've got some really high-performance rockets. On a good day, with a good rocket, well made, you can maybe get up to 150 feet with these things. I'm not kidding about that. Something else, just an interesting observation. I find that if you have a competition in your classroom to see who can do best, almost always the girls win. Now you might think about that, and I don't know if you're going to like the conclusion why it's the case, but the girls are very precise in making their rockets, and if you give them a plan, they'll make it just exactly right. The fins will be straight, and the boys come out with fins that have laser guns on the side and all kinds of goofy things, and those things wobble in the air and just cause a lot of drag, and they don't fly so well. And pretty soon they start looking at what the girls have done, and then they start getting serious about their rockets. So it's kind of fun to watch how they do these things. It's really a neat activity. You can also add a section to the top of it. If you close off the end, you can put a payload in the top. Like put a little tube on the end. You can mess with parachutes, but getting the parachute to deploy is the tricky part. How do you get the parachute to fall out once you're up there? But that's a challenge you can get the kids to do. And, of course, another challenge is aim for a specific place, like a target. If you happen to have a globe, like a moon globe, that's wonderful. Lay it out there and shoot for the moon. Just all kinds of possibilities.